Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nextdoor. If you've been following Landman week after week, riding the highs, enduring the lows, and hoping the show would recapture the magic of its first season, then you're exactly where you need to be. We have officially reached the season finale, and I have to be honest, I am incredibly curious and a little nervous about what the final episode is going to deliver. Because while season one felt like a carefully crafted masterpiece, this season has struggled to reach that same level. At times, it felt scattered, inconsistent, and emotionally uneven. But right now, in this final episode, the show still has one last opportunity to turn everything around. A strong season finale can change everything. It can reframe earlier missteps, deepen characters, and leave us wanting more instead of disappointed. And Landman is standing right at that crossroads. So today, let's walk through the most important moments from episode 9, break down what they really mean, and explore what episode 10 might have in store for us. Let's start with the moment many of us were dreading but still hoped wouldn't actually happen. Tommy gets fired. Yes, it finally happened. Cammy made the call, and honestly, the decision felt as reckless as it was infuriating. Once Cammy fell completely under Galino's influence, this outcome felt inevitable. Galino fed her confidence without caution, ambition without responsibility, and convinced her that boldness mattered more than logic. That misplaced confidence transformed Cammy into someone who mistook recklessness for leadership. By accusing Tommy, the most rational, cautious, and experienced person in the room, of holding her back, she made a decision that defied common sense. Let's be real for a moment. Who in their right mind would gamble everything on a 10% chance when the risks are this high? Tommy wasn't slowing Cammy down. He was protecting the company, the people, and the long-term future of MTechs. Firing him wasn't brave. It was short-sighted. What makes this even more frustrating is that Tommy has consistently proven himself to be right. Again and again, his instincts, experience, and judgment have saved situations from becoming disasters. And that's why I firmly believe that as early as episode 10, Cammy is going to realize just how catastrophic this decision truly was. When things start to collapse, and they will, she's going to understand that Galino's confidence came without solutions. And by then, the damage may already be done. Now let's talk about Angela and Eninsley, because their storyline has become increasingly difficult to connect with. In the synopsis for episode 9, we're told that Angela rescues Eninsley, but what we actually see is Angela pulling her daughter out of a glimpse of real life and dragging her straight back into an insulated, wealthy bubble. At this point, I genuinely struggle to understand what the show wants us to feel about these two. They waste money without consequence, look down on ordinary people, and remain completely detached from the realities most characters in this show face every day. On one side, we have Tommy, a man desperately trying to provide for his family, making the right calls, and still losing everything. On another side, we have Ariana, who is working under brutal conditions and experiencing real trauma. And yet, the show seems to expect us to feel sympathy for Eninsley because she had to live in a dorm room. That emotional math simply doesn't add up. Instead of feeling empathy, it creates resentment. Their behavior feels disconnected, insincere, and tone-deaf compared to the struggles happening elsewhere in the story. I genuinely want to know how you feel about this. Do Angela and Eninsley come across as relatable or likable to you, or does their storyline feel completely out of touch? Let's talk about it in the comments. Now we need to address the darkest and most disturbing moment of episode 9, Ariana's nightmare. Without question, this was the most horrifying scene of the episode and possibly of the entire season. Watching Ariana be abused by a vile excuse for a human being was deeply upsetting. Scenes like this are never easy to watch, and they shouldn't be, but the way it was handled left a heavy emotional weight. I cannot begin to describe how angry this made me. Violence and abuse against women should never be minimized or brushed aside for the sake of drama. And while Cooper stepping in and defending Ariana was necessary, that cannot be where justice ends. That man should not walk free. He should be held fully accountable and put behind bars where he belongs. More than anything, I hope Ariana is given the time, care, and support she needs to process this trauma. This kind of experience doesn't disappear overnight, and it deserves serious attention moving forward. Her strength shouldn't be defined by how quickly she moves on, but by how honestly the show allows her healing to unfold. Amid all the darkness, there was one storyline that genuinely brought me some relief. Rebecca and Charlie. Seeing them find their way back to each other was one of the few moments in episode 9 that actually made me smile. I truly thought Rebecca might let pride and hurt stand in the way forever. But instead, she chose vulnerability. She apologized, owned her mistakes, and that honesty reopened the door to love. After everything else happening in the series, I don't know how much time we'll actually get to see them together. But for my own sanity, I really need the show to let this relationship exist, even briefly, without tearing it apart immediately. Sometimes, a little happiness matters. Now let's turn our attention to episode 10, the season finale titled Tragedy and Flies. Just the title alone signals that things are about to spiral. The synopsis tells us that amid the chaos, Tommy regroups with Cooper. And honestly, the fact that the word chaos is being used is already exciting. It suggests consequences, escalation, and finally some payoff. In the promo scenes, we see Tommy telling TL that he's been fired. And just like us, TL can't wrap his head around it. This conversation feels important. Tommy has been carrying everything alone for so long, and finally opening up might be exactly what he needs. TL has always been one of the few people who can challenge Tommy emotionally, and this heart-to-heart could ground him before things get even worse. We also see Ariana and Cooper discussing what to do after the incident. They're advised to find a good lawyer, which makes sense, but personally, I don't think Cooper is going to face serious legal trouble. Episode 9 clearly showed that the incident was caught on camera. The evidence makes it obvious that Cooper acted to protect Ariana. If anything, the legal focus should be on ensuring that the man who assaulted her is prosecuted properly. Rebecca's involvement will likely be key here. If Ariana turns to her for help, it makes sense that it would be to ensure justice is served. If Cooper were to suffer consequences while the real criminal walks free, that would be devastating. And honestly, unacceptable from a storytelling perspective. Then there's Galino, and this is where things become truly terrifying. In the promo, we finally see Galino's cartel side fully revealed. When he says that if they fail to extract the natural gas, he'll take away the thing Tommy loves most, it sends chills down your spine. This is no longer about business. It's about control, intimidation, and violence. Galino knows something crucial. Without Tommy, Cammy's 10% gamble will fail, and because of that, Galino will likely force Tommy back into the equation one way or another. The question is whether Cammy will accept that reality willingly or only after everything collapses. My guess is that Cammy will continue to reject Tommy until the first major failure hits. But when reality finally catches up with her, she'll be the one crawling back. And by then, it may be too late, because Tommy isn't the only one she needs. She needs Nathan, Cooper, and Dale. These men are the unseen backbone of M-Techs. Without them, the company doesn't stand a chance. Before we wrap up, we need to talk about TL. Over the last 2 episodes, his storyline has taken a noticeably lighter, almost comedic turn due to the introduction of his physical therapist. And while I absolutely believe TL deserves happiness, the shift feels abrupt. What once felt like a deeply emotional arc has suddenly been played for laughs. I hope the show doesn't lose what made TL special, his deep conversations, his wisdom, his emotional presence. Those moments matter. If the seriousness of Landman becomes limited only to the triangle between Tommy, Galino, and Cammy, the show risks losing its balance. All right, now it's your turn. What are you expecting from the season finale? Do you think Landman can redeem this season with a strong ending? Or do you feel it already missed its chance? Let's talk in the comments. And by the way, if you're curious about what's coming up next in Why Marshals, which is releasing very soon, make sure to check out that video right here on Nextdoor. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.